there was an excerpt in the Matt Law article. So Frank insisted he had shown he is able to draw the line with his players by dropping Yves Bissouma from the Super Cup squad for persistent lateness. But some may reach the same conclusion as one source who spoke to the Telegraph Sports said it's double standard. So this is in relation to Romero speaking out in his social media post. There have already been claims that Romero is granted more freedom around the training ground than the rest of his squad, and he was made the club's highest paid player when he signed a new contract last summer. Vinay, the new Tottenham CEO, told the Fans Forum it was the best deal in world football this summer when he addressed them in October. Telegraph Sport has been told that Tottenham's angry players took it upon themselves to hold a half-time inquest at the Vitality Stadium. But by that time, the players returned to the dressing room, having confronted fans after the final whistle. There was little said, with the move described as quiet and brooding. A source said that things were said between the players at halftime in the dressing room, but at the end it was just quiet. Message to the players was just well done, which seemed a bit strange given what had happened. And a well done after defeat is not exactly
it's very odd, isn't it?
The best thing that you want to hear. But in terms of Romero, do you feel like it is double standards, talking about no restricted no action, no fine from the club, speaking out? But you know, I think it's different situations, the Romero one and the Bissouma one.
Yes and no. Apparently, well, I was listening to what Frank was saying. Frank was saying, you know, players make mistakes sometimes, and you know, Bissouma happened multiple times. So he said it was very hard line. You know, you do this certain amount of times and you're getting fined or whatever. But for Romero, it's just a mistake. He's our captain and he's not going to get fined. But this isn't the first time Romero's done this, made a comment like this. So it's not just a one-time thing. Whether you want to think about what he said, if you like it or not, it's not the first time he said something like this publicly and implicated the hierarchy. So I think Frank, and maybe he doesn't know the context of Romero, this isn't the first time, but I think from that point of view, I think he probably is in line to get a fine from the club for saying these things publicly in Instagram posts and calling hierarchy liars and stuff like that. So, and he's done it multiple times, calling them out. So for me, you could definitely argue there's a double standard there, because Bissouma was late a couple of times and bam, he's out of the team and he's not.
But it's not just about being late a couple of times as well. It's also about the laughing gas.
And the laughing gas, yeah. True. Maybe it's multiple things rather than multiple times, I guess you could argue.
But also the lateness is also predating Frank. It's not the first time we've heard of it. So I think both situations, Romero and Bissouma, both predate Frank, don't they?
But at the end of the day, they've both done it multiple times.
Yeah.
And one's getting punished for it and one isn't.
Yeah.
So is that fair? Should Romero be punished? I'm not going to advocate for us to punish him, but I think if you're... I mean, I can understand the perception that it's a double standard for him, because he's the captain and he's such a big player, and we did such a hard job of convincing him to sign that contract and all that kind of stuff. It's like maybe we don't want to do anything to upset the apple cart with him, and we're desperate to keep him, so we don't want to, we know he's such a hothead, and we sometimes, and we know that he can maybe he'll take something the wrong way or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Well, they must have sold him a dream, like to keep him at the club and to make him sign that contract. And after all that, they basically don't want to, upset him in any way. And that's not the best situation to have, right, really, at the club. I think every player should be held to the same standard. However, I do think they're different situations. Like, I don't think Romero's one is born out of wanting the best for the football club, in my opinion. I think Bissouma's one is just clear unprofessionalism.
Right, but from the club's point of view, you can't have a player like Romero making comments about the hierarchy more than once.
Yeah.
He's actually made it 3 times now.
Yeah.
Once after we lost to Chelsea, once in the summer. And albeit you could argue he's kind of just hinted at it rather than said it explicitly.
Yeah.
We all kind of know what he's talking about. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's just willful ignorance, and because he didn't say it explicitly, they can just brush it under the carpet a bit and say, well, we don't really know what it's all about, so we can't really fine him. And maybe there would be a legal problem with fining him if he didn't actually say anything properly. Yeah. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's coming from a source within the club. I don't know who it is. I don't know whether it's a player, a coach, or someone in the board, or whatever, or whatever, or just someone around the club. But someone clearly feels that way around Tottenham. So, I don't know whether that's a widespread feeling.
Is it normal for your captain to get maybe different treatment to other players in the squad? To be held to a different standard, maybe?
I think so. Depends.
You don't think it's normal?
It depends on what circumstance.
Yeah, look, I guess
if Basuma made these comments, would he be fined?
Probably.
Yeah, that's
probably.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's right for it to be. Maybe it is the case. I think there are definitely scenarios where players are treated differently because they're standing in the squad, where one player does it if they're not in the, that you can use it as an excuse to sell him, whereas another player, if they're very important to you and they do it, then you can overlook it. So I think there are I wouldn't say necessarily just because of captain, but definitely players who have a higher standing in the squad. So I guess that it's not completely crazy.
But I think if any other player made these comments, they probably would have been fined. Even a Mickey Van de Ven. If Mickey Van de Ven makes those comments, is he getting fined?
Probably. I don't know. Yeah, you'd think so. I expected him to get some sort of retribution. But apparently he just had him, Vinay and Johan and Frank all had a good chat, and they're going to deal with it internally, whatever that means. Obviously, he's going to be banned for tomorrow. I don't... It's a very strange one. But I just wonder if it is a player who's a source, if there is a bit of unhappiness with the fact that he hasn't been fired. But I don't think so, because all the players were liking his comments. I don't think he's a player.
Yeah, I think there was 3 players, weren't there?
Some liking it, some commenting on it.
Yeah.
So I think it must be a widely held view, agreement, I would say, with his Instagram post, unless there's a split in the dressing room, but I don't think so. I'm guessing everyone agrees. So, I doubt it's a player who's the source. So I wonder who it is. Is it a coach? I don't know. It's interesting. But in terms of the other thing as well, I find that a bit interesting. There clearly shows where everyone's head's at, isn't it, when it comes to the dressing room. Obviously, Frank said at half-time, Romero gave a good team talk and got everyone, heads right and whatever, and we obviously got back in the game, but we ended up losing at the end. But yeah, I find it weird. Maybe Frank's just trying to acknowledge that we had a decent performance and we were unlucky, so the message was well done rather than anything else. But, should he, with Romero not closing him down for the goal and at the end there, should there not be some higher standards maybe? For me,
what I think this is that tempers were obviously running very high after the game, right, with the altercation with the fans and everything like that. So obviously morale and, there's a tense situation there in the dressing room. Everyone's down, no one's talking. So I think Frank just comes in and says, all right, well done, but then more to be said after the game, probably the next day when they have a meeting about it. I just think, he probably thought, less said the better right now.
Didn't have to say well done, though.
No.
And also, again, with a source saying it, it makes me think the players thought that was a weird reaction from him.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe it was a coach or whatever, someone within the club did. So, yeah, that's not great.
No. Look, nothing seems great at Tottenham, and this kind of brewing situation of the discontent in the squad is probably the worst of the lot. Seriously, I don't know how we manoeuvre ourselves out of this situation. I really don't.
No, and the worst thing is as well, we have now this injury crisis, so it's hard to expect him to turn it around in this current scenario, but he kind of has to turn it around because the mood is so bad, and also how we've managed before. But yeah, it's hard to expect me. It's hard for me to expect him now to start getting results amidst what's now happening within the squad with these injuries.
Yeah. So happy days, huh?
Yeah, great.
Happy days.
Fantastic.